Welcome to the Nearly Enlightened podcast, a high vibe toolbox designed to help you connect to your body, mind, and spirit. I am your host, Gianna, and I'm here to share tools, conversations, and insights to help you on your journey of self discovery. This podcast is all about exploring what it means to live a conscious, connected, and nearly enlightened life because the truth is, the answers aren't outside of us, they're already within. Let's dive in. I'm joined again by Dee, and we are diving in further, week 2 of our Deepen Your Practice challenge. Hi, Dee.
Hello, week 2. Here we go.
It is so crazy. I can't believe we're already in week 2.
I know. Feels
We
good.
have just wrapped up the Yamas and we are heading into the Niyamas, which are more of like personal observances.
Yes. Like guides, get that. The niyamas are kind of like, it helps guide us towards cultivating more balance and discipline in the inner world, I would say, like the connection to ourself.
Yes, and I love that we keep bringing up discipline because it's funny, I talked about this in my yoga classes yesterday because I was kind of on a tirade. People have been texting in my yoga classes, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Whoa, really?
Yes, lots of phones in the yoga room.
I would, that's so interesting to me. I would
It's
not
so
allow
layered.
that.
Yeah, it's so layered because both studios have signs that are like, please leave your phone outside of here.
Yeah.
But I think it's like sometimes I think it's a little bit of a generational thing because it's usually more of like the college girlies, not to call them out, but I'm calling them out. Um, so yeah,
Well, and that's
yesterday in my 3 classes, I kind of went on a tirade of just like, you can unplug for 60 fucking minutes.
yes. Yeah, you can. I don't want to should on anybody, but you should.
I mean, it's just 60 minutes. Like, you will survive. And like I said, if it's an emergency or you're waiting for an important phone call, like, absolutely pull me aside and tell me. But
Yeah.
for like the majority of life things, like, if the mom next to you can leave her phone in the cubby or the locker outside, so can you.
Yeah, I don't know if I that that how I like I don't even know what to say because that just like it blows my mind.
I think we just lack discipline as a society. And like, I love bringing this conversation back into the yoga world because when I first started yoga way back when, discipline was something that we talked about all the time. And yoga is a practice of discipline. And we kind of um, have like this negative connotation about what discipline means. We think of it as like a consequence or like, you know, an outcome of doing something bad. But discipline, we've lost the meaning of discipline.
Yeah, and we're going to come to this when we talk about the niyamas. This is actually
Yes.
one of the niyamas. So let's dive in.
Yes. Let's dive in. So day 6, that's well, depends on when you're listening, but it's today.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about Saucha, cleanliness. And
Mm-hmm.
there's so many different ways you can think of this. You can think of
Yeah.
it as like physical cleanliness, of course, like physical cleanliness of space, of personal hygiene, which are great things. Um, but today for me, it was kind of like taking a moment to have a slow morning and
Yeah.
to like mentally detox more than anything. Like, I sat in bed and read with my kitty, and that just felt like so detoxifying and cleansing. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it can, it can be like the physical, and with anything in yoga, it could be physical or it can be intangible. And so for me today, that was kind of like taking that moment to like have an energy detox.
Yeah, an emotional detox and just things that help foster inner peace, whether, as you said, there's like this with a lot of what we're talking about with both the niyamas and the yamas, there's like this pendulum, right? Where you can take it from something that is tangible or it's not. For me this morning, I shared a little bit about my morning routine as well and a few things that I do physically.
Your post was fire. Like everyone go look at Dee's post. It was so beautiful. It was so inspiring. I loved it.
Thank you. Well, I just feel like as a gut health practitioner, it's important to put, this is a big piece of gut health too, is, just simply starting with like tongue scraping is, I don't know what it is, but I have to, I can't leave my house unless I do it.
I love that we both had like, because tongue scraping is an Ayurvedic practice. And then I had some CCFT, which is cumin, coriander, and fennel seed, which is also really detoxifying for the lymphatic system. But these are two Ayurvedic practices. So Ayurveda is the sister science to yoga. And so I love that we both talked about Ayurvedic practices today.
I know I was giggling when I saw your post because that's exactly where my mind was too. And then when I have the time, as you were saying, like you had a slow morning, I also had a slow morning. And I was able to make myself a fresh cold pressed green juice and sit in the morning sun, which, it sometimes is not possible for me where I am in my life and at this time and phase where I am. But when I do those things, it's like giving back to my body and doing like allowing the inners of myself to take a deep breath. And I think that's, Saucha, purity, peace. That's what I think of. Obviously, taking a shower is great.
Yes, and that's a big part of my cleansing practice too. Like I will not get in bed at night unless I shower.
I can't. It feels weird.
Yeah. And it's also like, yeah, it's a physical cleansing, but also like I feel like it's an energetic cleansing of just like washing the day off.
Oh, for sure. Even when I was in my like party deep, I would come home at 3 a.m. and I would have to take a shower. Didn't matter. I had to do it. So yes.
So then we're moving into day 7, which is Santosha, contentment, which I love because we've kind of like talked about this. We've like foreshadowed this in some of the other posts because I feel like all of the yamas and the niyamas leading up to this is kind of like it's kind of like not pushing us to get there, but it's inspiring us to find contentment in what is the right now.
Yes, the here and the now. And I think sometimes for me, I talk about this a lot, is where you'll be going through something that might be challenging, and I feel like sometimes it's some people that you speak to or confide in. Like one of the things that really is an ick for me is toxic positivity. So I think
anyone who has listened to the podcast before knows this.
So I think like, yes, it is so important to find that happiness or that contentment in the present moment and to always be searching for that, but allow space for both. And like, just know you have the wisdom and the capacity to hold both hard things and happy things at the same time. And I think that's kind of like, for me, that's what Santosha means for me.
Yes. And for me, like I was one of those people who like I would see the big picture goal. And like if I wasn't and still sometimes I can be this way. And if I'm not getting to that big picture goal fast enough or on the timeline that I think it should be on, like it does disrupt that present moment contentment. And yes, you want to keep that big goal in mind, but it shouldn't sway you one way or another from feeling like present or happy and content with where you are right now. And I think this is a good reminder because so many of us are like, oh, I'll be happy when XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
I'll feel more at peace when XYZ. And it's like, no, like even if you're in your busiest season, like you can find that present, that contentment in the right now. Like there's a reason you're in this space.
Yeah. Totally.
And then we move into day 8, tapas, discipline.
Yes, here we are. We've arrived.
So discipline is so important in the yoga practice. It's its own thing.
It is its own thing. I think it's a lot of it too is like this personal dedication to your own growth. And, if you feel like you're falling off course, you like that perseverance. That's a word that comes to mind when I think about tapas is, how can you push through challenges and maintain your commitment, and this one can also too, you can even bring this onto the mat. This is a good one. This is a
Yes.
good one.
I know, on and off the mat. Like I think I talked about it in our last episode, but
Mm-hmm.
I have the same students late every time, like 10 minutes late every single time. It's like you're 10 minutes late for a 60-minute class. Now you've cut your practice down to 50 minutes. You're disrupting the class, which
Mm-hmm.
yes, the other practitioners should be practicing yoga and shouldn't be swayed by that, but it's a respect thing for the people around you. It's honoring other people's time, which we talked about in the Niyamas.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and just having that discipline of like time management.
Mm-hmm.
Like if
Totally.
you're one of those people who are always consistently late, it's like it's not a thing that holds you in one direction. It's like you are always late. There's
Yes.
there's a time management problem there.
Yes. I have a lot to work on with this one, especially
This is
with
something I work on too because I come from an Italian European family who it's like what is time? Which like yes, what is time? But like also having integrity and honoring other people's time.
exactly. Yeah. I feel very similar because I live in Panama and here it's called Latino time. Like you can say come over to my house for coffee at 10 a.m. and anywhere between 9:30 and 2 p.m. you've got to have the kettle on because you never know. Like I remember when I would run meetings, I would tell people to get there 2 hours before I would actually even show up because I just knew. So it's like honoring not just your own time and energy, but the people around you.
Yes, and even just having the discipline to make the time and space for the practice. Like, taking
Totally.
it just back to the physical practice, which obviously we want to go beyond that, but like if you don't make time for that physical practice and being there, being present, like that is part of discipline too.
Yeah. And this is like I was saying, like, this is a good one to take on and off the mat. Like, if you're working towards a specific asana that you want to, be able to practice more often, you have to keep practicing. You have to be disciplined enough to keep practicing and to have that make the time to practice physically. And you will get there. It's like riding a bike.
Yes, you're not just gonna like get up on two wheels one day.
No. So discipline, tapa. Thank you.
Day 9, we're coming into Svadhyaya, which I love. This is self-study.
Mm-hmm.
And like this could be part of like if the physical practice of yoga is not for you, you can still practice yoga by observing and participating in self-study.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is a big one for me because obviously as you know, like I did the self study through break method, which I think is an amazing tool. It's like another 30-day kind of guided journaling journey. Um, and I think that's a great way. Like if you're curious about just diving deeper into self awareness and how you show up in the world and being the best version of yourself, like I think self study is such a great place to start.
It's huge. It's for me too. I feel very, very strongly about this as well. And I think the reason why I heard about break method through you, and I went through it. And I think the reason why I was very dedicated to go through it was because I was and am at a time and place where I need to take radical personal responsibility for myself, recognizing the patterns. Like there might be some patterns in your life that you don't even recognize. And to be able to have someone to guide you through it, to be like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's a deep look inward. And sometimes, like, that's really hard to look at, like, the not so pretty.
Parts of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's okay. And I think that that's part of the process. You know, if you can't take an honest look at yourself in the mirror, then what are you doing? You know, I think that it's only going to make you a better person, I think, you know, and just continuing that introspection and that study and self-reflection. Yeah, it's one thing of course to write in a journal, but like, can you take action on those patterns that you keep repeating that are holding you back or keeping you, you know, in fear or
Stuck,
what have you?
sedentary. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think too, like if that is there, I think there's also too another way to look at this self-study. You know, you don't have to necessarily be so, I mean, you can also use this niyama, you can use maybe like sacred texts to also help you, you know, like for the Bible, it might be for some people. A Course in Miracles is another great book to help through, you know, just texts that help you aid in self-discovery, I think is another way you could practice this niyama for sure.
And then that moves us into day 10,
Mm-hmm.
surrender. I'm so sorry. I'm going to absolutely butcher the Sanskrit on this one. It is such a long word. It's Ishvara Pranidhana.
Yeah, that's
I've
great.
heard it pronounced like a bunch of different ways. That is
Yeah.
like how it's spelled. So if I'm wrong, please like correct me.
Yeah,
Um,
that's great.
but this is just surrender, trusting the divine, trusting the flow. And I think this is just such an important life lesson that I think all humans learn, whether they practice yoga or not, whether they're spiritual or not. Like you have to learn to surrender, um,
Yeah.
knowing that sometimes there's a bigger plan at play.
Yeah, which is really hard.
Yes.
I It's really hard. I feel like there's, you know, sometimes there's this pendulum where you can swing from fear to faith, and sometimes I kind of just when I fall into the trap of not being able to commit to that surrender, I'm like, okay, where am I operating here on this pendulum, and how can I get closer to the faith side in
Yes.
surrendering? Just aligning your actions with knowing that there's a higher power
Yes.
of your understanding.
And this always reminds me of like, going back to my religious roots, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
of like giving your fear to God, giving your angst and anxiety to God. Like this is always a reminder of that because not everything is in our control. And when we worry and stress about things that aren't in our control, we're like just prolonging and like deepening our suffering.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes instead of the worry, the fear, you have to just surrender and trust.
Yes. Yeah. Yes,
And
ma'am.
I think that's pretty much where we can wrap it up today. Unless you want, is there anything else you want to say about the niyamas?
I don't think so. I think that the niyamas are quite, I don't want to say self-explanatory, but I feel like they're, you know, I feel good about that. I feel good
Yeah.
about what we shared and for people to take what we shared into their own interpretation and then take this into the challenge or into your daily life off the mat, onto the mat.
Yes, I'm excited
Um,
to see how everyone's perspective is on these topics. Like I think it's really interesting to see because like we said in the last episode, like this is a 5,000-year-old practice and like it's fun to see how people bring it into the modern world,
yeah.
teachers
And
and
I,
students alike.
yeah. Yeah, because we all have different perspectives, we all have different lives, and I love seeing how it's showing up for different people and participants. And yeah, keep it going. I'm excited. Thank you.
So this is week 2, the niyamas, and then next week we'll be sliding into asana and pranayama, which that's what we talk about the most when we talk about modern yoga or like in the modern yoga world. So That will be next week. And yeah, I can't believe we're already like halfway through this challenge. It's so crazy.
I know. It feels good.
It feels great. I'm so glad we decided to do this.
Me too.
It's a good reminder for myself, like to come back to these practices where they kind of like you've been practicing for so long. Sometimes they, um, not that they slip your mind, like you get into these grooves and it does become a way of life, but just a little reminder of like why we do these things is nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think just kind of bringing it back to the surface, bringing it, it's there. It's there for sure, especially after going through a YTT, or just continuously practicing. It's good to bring it back up to the surface and have it, on the front burner, if you will, to
Absolutely. And I think
move about.
even for asana, I talked about this in my yoga classes yesterday. Like I think most people who have been practicing for a long time, like they even lose it in the asana. I know that personally. Like you tend to rest in your flexibility. You're just like flowing through mindlessly. You're just like not fully present. So it's nice to have these reminders of like, oh yeah, bring it back to the beginning.
Totally. Yeah. And just always be a student. I think both
Yeah.
you and I agree on that. And I think that there's, you know, always room for improvement and learning. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me today. And stay tuned for next week. We'll go through next week's practice. So there'll be 2 more episodes that coincide with the challenge. You don't have to be in the challenge um, to listen to them, but it's a good reminder. And if you're yoga curious, this is a great way to dive in.
Totally.
Thank you, Dee, for joining me. And thank you all so much for tuning into today's episode of the Nearly Enlightened podcast. If this conversation resonated with you, I would love it if you shared it, leave a review, or reach out and let me know your thoughts. And if you're looking for more ways to deepen your connection to body, mind, and spirit, check out my Meditate to Elevate portal, my guided meditation portal, or visit nearlyenlightened.com for more resources. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and remember the answers already lie within.